The sun rises slowly over the savanna, painting the horizon in deep amber and crimson, as if the earth itself is bleeding into the sky, and somewhere in the tall grass, a figure emerges, barefoot, lean, and scarred by survival, carrying nothing but sharpened stone and instinct. This is not a hero of legend or myth, but a hunter of 5 million years ago, whose every breath is a wager against hunger, predators, and the unforgiving landscape, where a single mistake could mean vanishing forever into the soil, and yet his eyes burn with the same fire. Around him, the world is alive with both beauty and danger. Colossal elephants with tusks longer than spears graze in the distance, their silhouettes trembling like giants in the morning haze, while packs of saber-toothed cats prowl unseen, their presence felt in the silence between bird calls. The hunter inhales the air, thick with dust and the faint metallic scent of blood left from some night kill, and though fear lingers in his bones, there's no time to dwell on it, because survival means moving forward, searching for food, water, and His tribe waits in a clearing miles away, where the faint smoke of last night's fire still lingers like a ghost above the acacia trees, and among them are children with wide, unblinking eyes, mothers weaving grass into makeshift baskets, and elders who remember stories carved in whispers and scars. The hunter knows their hunger, feels it gnawing inside his own stomach, and it presses against him like a silent command. Today, he cannot return empty-handed, for to fail is not just to starve himself, but to let down the tools he carries are nothing more than extensions of stone and bone, hand axes chipped to razor edges, spears hardened in fire, a pouch of sharpened flakes used for skinning hides. Primitive, yes, but in the hunter's hands they are lifelines, weapons born not of luxury but necessity, the product of endless trial, error, and desperate innovation. He grips them tightly, feeling their weight like the beating of his own heart, and as he scans the grasslands ahead, every shadow becomes a potential threat, every movement a possibility. He begins his day-long pursuit quietly, moving with the patience of a predator but the vulnerability of prey, his bare feet pressing into soft earth still damp with morning dew, his senses stretched to the limits, ears twitching at the rustle of insects, nose flaring to catch the faintest hint of animal musk. His body, though lean and scarred, is tuned perfectly for endurance, for the long, relentless chase, not bursts of violence but a steady storm of persistence, the kind of hunting that bleeds time itself dry, wearing down his. The savanna is not generous. It offers no easy feast, only trials disguised as opportunities. Gazelles, swift as arrows, scatter at the faintest sound, their muscles rippling like shadows escaping the wind, while wildebeest move in massive herds, impossible to strike without the cooperation of many hunters, yet his tribe is few, and so he must measure risk like a gambler rolling dice with death, every choice balanced between reward and ruin, knowing that one wrong step could mean being tricked. As the hunter stalks closer, his eyes fix upon a solitary antelope, grazing with cautious grace, ears twitching at every shift in the grass, and in that fragile window of stillness he feels time stretch. Heart pounding, sweat beating down his spine, stone weapon trembling in his grip, he remembers the faces of his tribe, the hollow stares of the children, the quiet prayers of the women, and in that memory he finds strength, because this hunt is not his alone. It is the survival of a collective soul, of a people who cannot yet imagine history, but already. He moves low, crawling through thorn and dust, his skin tearing, blood marking the earth in tiny silent offerings, yet he does not stop, because the rhythm of survival is merciless, like a drum that beats in the bones of all living creatures. Each step closer feels like an eternity, every sound amplified, the crack of a twig, the soft hiss of wind, the distant roar of a lion. His breath quickens, but he swallows the panic, for there is no room for fear now, only the calm precision of instinct, sharpened by generations of struggle, past. But suddenly, the antelope bolts, its body a blur of muscle and grace, hooves tearing into the earth like thunder, and the hunter leaps forward without hesitation, chasing with a fire that seems impossible for such a fragile body, his legs pumping, arms slicing the air, lungs burning as he launches into the relentless pursuit. This is not a sprint, not a momentary burst. It is a war of endurance, a test of patience and pain, where the prey's speed will falter long before the hunter's persistence, for he is built not to outpace. The chase stretches across hours, the sun climbing higher, burning the land in waves of heat that shimmer like fire over stone, yet still the hunter runs, his shadow flickering across cracked earth, sweat pouring, every muscle screaming, but his spirit refusing to break. In these moments, stripped of comfort and illusion, survival becomes poetry written in sweat and dust, a dance older than memory, and as the antelope begins to slow, staggering under the weight of exhaustion, the hunter feels the threat of the antelope stumbles, its legs trembling as though the earth itself is pulling it down, and the hunter seizes the moment, muscles tightening, stone blade flashing in his hand like lightning caught in flesh. The strike is not elegant, it is desperate and raw, driven by hunger and the ghostly cries of those waiting back at camp, and when the animal collapses, a shuddering silence falls over the savanna, broken only by the ragged breath of the hunter, who kneels beside the fallen life, sweat and blood mixing on his skin, and for a heartbeat he presses his palm to the animal's still warm hide, whispering something inaudible, not words exactly, but a breath of gratitude, a fragment of reverence, for even in this brutal age, survival carries ritual, and the hunter understands that this creature's death sustains not just his body, but the fragile circle of his people. In this act there is both violence and prayer, sacrifice and necessity, and though his heart is steady, he feels the weight of existence pressing down, the realization that life only moves forward because something. With practiced hands, he begins the grim work of butchery, stone flakes slicing through sinew and hide, the air filling with the metallic tang of blood and the sharp scent of opened flesh, as vultures spiral overhead like dark omens waiting for their turn. The hunter moves quickly, knowing predators are drawn by the smell, his eyes darting across the grasslands while his hands never stop their ruthless rhythm, separating meat from bone, hide from muscle, each piece not just food but future, fuel for the children's laughter, warmth for the nights to come. Yet, as he works, the hunter feels the prickle of unease crawling across his spine, the knowledge that he is not alone. The savanna is never silent without reason, and in the distance, a shadow moves, low and deliberate, golden eyes glinting from behind the brush, and he recognizes the unmistakable gaze of a lioness, patient and calculating, waiting for her moment. His breath quickens, but his hands remain steady, for fear is a luxury he cannot afford, and so he gathers what he can, blood soaking his arms ready to. The lioness steps forward, her muscles rippling like carved stone, paws silent against the earth, and the hunter knows this is no mere encounter, but a trial carved into the marrow of existence, predator against predator, hunger against hunger. He shouts, a guttural cry that echoes across the plains, raising his bloodied arms, stone blade glinting as if it holds the fury of fire itself, and though his heart hammers like a trapped bird, he refuses to step back, for the meat on the ground is not just his victory, it is his people's lifeline. For long moments, time freezes, the lioness circling, tail twitching, muscles coiled, the hunter crouched low, every nerve burning, every second stretching into eternity. It is a standoff sculpted in silence, a raw reminder that survival is not conquest, but negotiation, that every meal is stolen from death's own hands. And finally, perhaps sensing the hunter's unyielding resolve, the lioness withdraws, melting back into the tall grass, her shadow swallowed by sunlight, leaving them, gathering the meat into bundles wrapped in the antelope's own hide. He prepares for the long trek back, muscles straining under the heavy load, each step sinking into earth cracked by heat. Yet with every labored breath, there is pride, a quiet flame within him, for he carries not just food but proof that his tribe will see another day, another night, another story whispered by firelight. The land may strip him bare, test him beyond endurance, but he walks with the certainty that survival is never solitary. It is woven. The journey back is merciless, the sun now a blazing hammer overhead, striking the earth in waves of shimmering heat, his throat dry as bone, lips cracked, body trembling beneath the weight of both meat and exhaustion. Yet as he trudges forward, his mind fills with images of home, the laughter of children chasing each other through dust, the comforting hum of voices around the fire, the scent of roasted roots and smoke lingering in the air. These visions, fragile yet fierce, drive him onward, as though. At last, the hunter nears the clearing where smoke curls gently into the sky, and the tribe gathers to meet him, eyes widening, relief spilling across tired faces as they see the weight he carries. Children run forward, their joy unrestrained, mothers reaching out with hands trembling between hunger and gratitude, elders nodding with solemn approval as though witnessing an ancient promise fulfilled. In that moment, the hunter is no longer just one man. He is provider, protector, lifeline, and though his body is battered and his spirit exhausted, he feels the warmth of purpose. That night, as flames crackle and the tribe feasts, laughter rising into the stars, the hunter sits slightly apart, staring into the fire with quiet reflection. The meat on their tongues is more than nourishment. It is survival made tangible, carved from the edge of danger and the silence of the savanna. He feels both pride and sorrow, pride for what was gained, sorrow for what was lost, for every victory is stitched with sacrifice. And as the smoke rises into the infinite night sky, he wonders, the fire burns bright against the void of night, its orange glow flickering across faces carved by struggle, illuminating eyes that have seen hunger, fear, and fleeting joy. And in this circle of warmth, the tribe is reborn. Meat sizzles on sharpened sticks, fat dripping into the flames with a hiss that echoes like applause, and the smell fills their lungs richer than any perfume of kings yet to come. Because here, this feast is not mere indulgence, it is salvation. Carved from blood and bone, children huddle close, their small hands sticky with roasted flesh, eyes wide not only from hunger's release but from the stories whispered by elders, voices weaving through the crackle of fire like threads binding generations. They speak of spirits that walk in the grasslands, of animals who give themselves so that humans may live, of the sun and stars as watchful guardians who decide fates unseen. And though their words are simple, their meaning is vast. For in these fragile myths, humanity first begins to dream, to shape the chaos of the hunter listens, silent, his body heavy with exhaustion, but his heart caught by the rhythm of words that flow like ancient rivers, carving valleys in memory. He feels the story seeping into him, mingling with the pulse of blood in his veins, as if the hunt he endured is no longer his alone but part of something larger, stitched into the fabric of tribe and time. And in that realization he finds both comfort and fear, because stories endure longer than flesh, and though his body may fade into dust, the echoes of nearby, women tend to embers with practiced hands, dropping roots and herbs into the flames, the smoke spiraling upward in a fragrant dance that clings to skin and hair. This simple act is more than survival, it is ritual, a form of communication with forces unseen, an offering to the unseen balance that governs death and life, hunger and feast, predator and prey. The tribe does not name it religion yet, nor philosophy, but in the fragile flicker of firelight, reverence is born. A child reaches toward the flames, giggling as the firelight dances across his fingers, and his mother pulls him close with a soft scolding, pressing her lips to his forehead, and in that tiny gesture lies something profound. Love, protection, the instinct not just to survive but to nurture. It is a moment so human, so timeless that it could belong to any age, any century, a reminder that even in this harsh crucible of existence, tenderness grows like wildflowers through cracks of stone, soft yet unbreakable, proof that survival is not. As the feast winds down, silence settles like a blanket, broken only by the soft crackle of fire and the distant howl of hyenas circling beyond the safety of flame. The hunter leans back, eyes fixed on the endless scatter of stars above, and something stirs in him, a question, a wonder, a longing that words cannot yet hold. He wonders where those stars lead, if others walk beneath the same sky, if his people are alone, or if the world beyond the horizon holds others like him, struggling, enduring, dreaming, their breath mingling. The elders' voices rise again, softer now, more like prayer than story, their tones weaving sorrow and hope into the night. They speak of ancestors whose bones rest beneath the soil, whose shadows linger in wind and stone, guiding and warning, watching silently as new generations stumble and rise. The hunter feels their presence in the flicker of the flames, in the whisper of grass swaying in darkness, and though he does not fully understand, he senses that his life is not just his own but a continuation of something ancient, a torch carried. The tribe huddles closer to the fire as the night deepens, and a new sound joins the symphony, the steady beat of hands striking hollow logs, the rhythm primal and hypnotic, echoing through the clearing like the heartbeat of the earth itself. Children laugh, stamping their feet while others sway, bodies moving in rough but passionate dance, and the hunter watches in awe, realizing that this too is survival. Not just the chase, the kill, the fire, but the act of expression, of releasing fear and hunger into motion and rhythm. In the fire's glow, shadows leap across faces, painting them as warriors, spirits, and creatures of myth all at once, and in those dancing silhouettes lies the seed of something profound: art, imagination, the ability to see not just what is, but what could be. The hunter feels it stirring inside him, a vision of hunts retold not only in words but in marks scratched upon stone, in images that outlive memory. Though he cannot yet shape it, the desire is there, a spark waiting for centuries to. As the tribe finally drifts into restless sleep, curled in furs and hides, the hunter remains awake, listening to the fire crackle and the night breathe around him. His eyes close, but his mind does not rest. Images of the day replay in fragments: the antelope's final stumble, the lioness's eyes, the laughter of children, the weight of stars overhead, and in that storm of memory, he senses something larger than himself taking shape, as if every hunt, every fire, every whispered story is slowly building toward a destined. Morning returns with no softness, the sky bleeding pale gold over a land still damp with dew, and the tribe stirs reluctantly, rubbing sleep from tired eyes, gathering hides and tools, stamping out the last embers of the night's fire. There is no permanence here, no roots in stone or wood, only motion, for survival demands movement, chasing herds across endless plains, following rivers that shift and vanish, seeking water and shade like ghosts. The hunter shoulders his tools, his muscles stiff but ready, knowing the fire they left behind will fade, but the hunger waiting ahead never rests. The elders lead with slow, deliberate steps, their voices murmuring reminders of paths taken before, of dangers hidden in the tall grass, of waterholes claimed by crocodiles or poisoned by decay. Behind them, mothers carry children wrapped in skins, eyes half shut with fatigue but wide open to the world, absorbing every sight and sound. The hunter walks among them, neither leader nor follower, but backbone, his gaze scanning horizons for movement, ears straining for the low growl of predators. In this fragile caravan of flesh and hope, every heartbeat is vulnerable, yet together they cross grasslands that seem endless, golden seas rippling beneath a merciless sun, the air heavy with the cries of unseen birds and the droning buzz of insects that cling to sweat-soaked skin. Every step feels like both progress and futility, the horizon never drawing closer, the thirst growing sharper, yet the tribe endures because stopping is death and motion is life. The hunter feels each stride like a drumbeat, an oath to his ancestors, a refusal to collapse, his spirit tethered not by comfort, but by the fragile voices beside him, pushing. By midday, their shadows shrink beneath them, bodies glistening with sweat, lips cracked and legs trembling, yet they press forward toward a grove of acacia trees shimmering in the distance like a mirage. The hunter knows that within shade lies both relief and danger, for predators too seek the cool embrace of branches, and the earth does not hand out gifts without asking for something in return. He grips his spear tighter, eyes scanning every flicker of movement, because survival is not found in rest but in vigilance, and even in exhaustion. He knows the land. Reaching the grove, relief washes over the tribe as they collapse beneath its branches, their breath ragged, children clutching at roots with trembling hands, elders lowering themselves slowly as though the earth might shatter. But rest is brief, because danger lurks always, and the hunter's gaze catches the scar in the soil, a lion's track, fresh, deep, a reminder that safety is always an illusion. He crouches, tracing the mark with calloused fingers, feeling the weight of threat in its shape, and though his body aches for stillness, the tribe drinks cautiously from a shallow pool nearby, its surface rippling with the darting bodies of insects and the faint shimmer of fish. Yet beneath the murky depths lurks the threat of crocodiles, silent and ancient, jaws stronger than any stone tool. The hunter approaches first, prodding the water with his spear, eyes sharp for sudden motion, heart pounding as silence stretches long, before finally signaling that it is safe, at least for now. Mothers bring children forward, cupping water into their mouths, the relief immediate. As the tribe settles briefly, the hunter moves a little apart, crouching in tall grass, his mind torn between exhaustion and duty. His ears catch faint rustles, gazelles darting through brush, birds scattering from unseen movement. And though hunger gnaws at him, he knows another hunt today could mean ruin. Their bodies too weak to endure another chase. Instead, he watches, observing, learning the rhythms of animals, memorizing the paths they tread, the times they pause, because knowledge is as vital as stone, a weapon sharpened not in hands but in memory. Clouds gather on the horizon, dark and swollen, promising rain that may bless or curse. For storms here are no gentle whispers but roars that tear the earth, flooding rivers, scattering herds, drowning fire and shelter alike. The hunter tilts his face toward the wind, tasting the change in the air, the metallic tang of storm, and he feels both fear and relief. Fear of what destruction it may bring, relief that water might return to parched earth. The tribe murmurs prayers in low voices, words half hope, half memory, because storms are God. The storm breaks with a fury, lightning splitting the sky into jagged scars, thunder rolling like the roar of giants, rain slashing against skin and soil in endless torrents. The tribe huddles beneath branches, hides pulled over shoulders, their fire long extinguished, replaced by shivering and whispers. Yet in the chaos, there is also renewal, the earth drinking greedily, grass bending and rising, animals scattering in wild, beautiful panic. The hunter sits in the downpour, water cascading over his scars, and when dawn finally follows the storm, the world is transformed, the air cool and sweet, the ground dark with moisture, the grass gleaming like fields of emerald. And for a fleeting moment, beauty overwhelms danger. The tribe emerges slowly, blinking against the bright horizon, their voices carrying laughter like sparks, relief carried on the scent of wet earth. The hunter stands tall, watching the land reborn, knowing that even in this merciless cycle of hunger and fear, there are moments of grace. Gifts fleeting as light. The morning after the storm is not only renewal but challenge. Their fire drowned, their tools scattered, their hides soaked through, yet within this setback lies invention. The hunter kneels beside a patch of dry bark hidden beneath overhang, striking stones together until sparks leap like tiny stars, coaxing life from nothing. When flame returns, fragile and trembling, the tribe gathers as if witnessing a miracle, their eyes wide, breath caught, because fire is not just warmth, it is safety, light against darkness, a shield. The tools they carry, once crude shards, are now shaped with growing purpose, edges sharpened finer, points hardened with fire, flakes chipped for precision. The hunter studies them as though they are extensions of his own body, marveling at how stone, once silent, now speaks through cut and strike. With every experiment, mistakes carve lessons into memory. Stone too brittle shatters, edges too dull waste precious energy. But those that endure become lifelines, and in this slow evolution lies something profound, knowledge. As they travel onward, the hunter tests new strategies in silence, digging shallow traps near waterholes, scattering sharpened stakes, using the earth itself as ally. He learns to mimic calls of animals, to move like shadow through grass, to watch wind and sun for direction, and these skills, once scattered instincts, begin to form patterns, rhythms, a kind of language unspoken yet shared among hunters. Every success becomes memory, every failure etched in scars, and through this constant cycle of trial and survival, the tribe is no longer merely reacting. At night, as fire crackles once more, the hunter experiments with pigment drawn from crushed ochre and ash, smearing it against stone walls and crude shapes, lines that echo hunts, animals, spirits glimpsed in dreams. Children watch with awe, elders with quiet reverence, and though no one names it, this act is revolutionary, a seed of art blooming from necessity, turning memory into mark, survival into story. The hunter himself does not fully understand why he does it, only that something inside compels him, a force. The tribe begins to notice patterns in stars, their glimmering scatter above turning into maps of meaning, guiding migrations across vast plains. Elders point out clusters, naming them after beasts, rivers, and unseen spirits, their fingers tracing stories into the night sky as children listen wide-eyed, learning not just survival but wonder. The hunter feels this connection deeply, sensing that the stars are more than distant fire. They are guides, reminders that even in the darkest night, there are paths unseen, maps written not on soil. Hunger, though relentless, is now met with cunning rather than desperation. Hunters cooperate, circling prey, using calls and gestures to signal, surrounding animals with strategy instead of blind chase. Their movements are coordinated, their breaths synchronized, their risks shared, and when success comes, it belongs not to one but to all. The hunter feels pride swelling in this unity, a realization that strength lies not in solitary endurance, but in the collective rhythm of many hearts beating as one, and in that union, the children, once passive watchers, now begin to mimic, their small hands grasping stones, their voices imitating calls, their feet tracing the steps of hunts seen with wide eyes. The hunter watches them with both fear and pride, fear that their fragile bodies may be crushed by the world's merciless weight, pride that his struggles carve a path for them to walk. In their laughter, clumsy attempts, and determination, he glimpses the future, fragile yet fierce, proof that survival is not just about enduring the present. Danger never vanishes, it only shifts. Hyenas circle at night, their cackling cries piercing the darkness. Shadows lurk beyond firelight, and every dawn brings new tests. Yet with each trial, the tribe grows sharper. They learn which plants heal and which poison, which tracks warn of ambush, which rivers carry disease. The hunter catalogs these truths silently, passing them in gestures, demonstrations, unspoken lessons carved into flesh and memory, and though no language yet binds them fully, as weeks stretch into seasons, the tribe's path weaves across landscapes vast and unforgiving, plains littered with bones of giants, forests echoing with bird cries like broken flutes, rivers swelling and vanishing with rains, deserts yawning like endless scars across the earth. Through all this, the hunter walks with quiet resolve, his steps heavy yet steady, his spirit worn but unyielding, and though danger shadows them at every turn, he senses something profound. Humanity is no longer merely clinging to existence but carving a. One evening, as the tribe rests beside a fading river, the hunter sits apart, watching the sun collapse into crimson, its light painting the world in blood and fire. In that silence, he feels both small and infinite, a speck of flesh against eternity, yet carrying within him the weight of generations. He wonders if the stars above will remember their struggle, if the earth will hold their stories in stone, if the future will ever know of this fragile beginning. And though answers never come, he feels a truth rising. Humanity, the journey grows harsher as days stretch into weeks. And though the rains once blessed the land, now the sun returns as a tyrant, burning away shade, draining rivers into cracked scars across the soil. The tribe walks slower, children stumbling, elders gasping, and the hunter feels dread gnawing inside his ribs, for hunger sharpens not only teeth but despair. Their stores of meat dwindle, roots grow scarce, and every horizon mocks them with emptiness. Yet they keep moving, because stopping is surrender, and surrender is death, and in their silence, it happens quietly at first. An elder collapsing in dust, her body trembling with exhaustion, eyes dimming as though the fire inside finally burns out. The tribe gathers around, their faces heavy with sorrow, but there are no words, no graves of stone, only a soft farewell whispered against the wind. The hunter kneels, touching her with reverence, feeling both grief and gratitude, for she carried wisdom that guided them here, and though her body remains, her spirit seems to dissolve into the land itself. Grief lingers like a shadow, but hunger does not wait. The tribe presses forward, though their steps feel heavier, hearts dulled by loss, and the hunter feels the weight of responsibility pressing harder, as if the dead demand he carry twice their strength. He hunts with renewed ferocity, his movements sharper, his patience unyielding, striking prey not just for nourishment but for redemption, for proof that sacrifice is not meaningless. When he returns with meat, the tribe feasts, but the taste. Children, though fragile, seem to endure with strange resilience, their laughter breaking through grief like birdsong after storm, reminding the tribe that even in despair, life insists on joy. The hunter watches them play with sharpened sticks, mimicking hunts, chasing each other through dust, and in their energy he finds hope, a promise that tomorrow is not just burden, but possibility. Yet he also feels fear tighten in his chest, because the world shows no mercy, and each child is aflame. The tribe learns to adapt in desperation, splitting into smaller groups when food grows scarce, sending hunters in opposite directions, gathering roots hidden deep beneath earth, drinking from plants swollen with bitter water. The hunter feels this adaptation carving itself into muscle and memory. Every decision made not for comfort but survival. Every action weighted with risk. Sometimes they reunite stronger, sometimes fewer return, and in those moments silence falls heavier than night. Yet through trial and fracture, the tribe evolves, discovering that survival is not rigid but fluid, shaped. Predators too grow bolder in times of famine, shadows circling closer, their eyes glowing in firelight, testing the tribe's fear. One night, hyenas breach the camp, dragging away scraps, their laughter rising into chaos, and though the hunters fight back with spears, one child is nearly taken, his cries piercing the night until he is saved at the last heartbeat. The hunter feels rage like fire in his veins, driving him to chase into darkness, striking until blood stains his hands. Yet when dawn comes, he realizes the truth. This war with nature never ends, only sickness follows famine, creeping like an unseen predator into lungs and stomachs, weakening bodies already thin from hunger. Fevers burn, coughs tear through the silence of night, and the tribe grows quieter, their strength draining with each passing day. The hunter tends to the ill with what little knowledge he has. Herbs chewed into bitter poultices, cool water pressed to burning skin, but some slip away, their eyes fading like stars swallowed by dawn. The grief threatens to drown him, yet he keeps moving, because despair is a luxury they cannot afford. Amid the suffering, resilience takes shape like iron forged in flame. The tribe learns to ration food, to hunt smaller prey instead of gambling everything on giants, to travel by night when the heat burns too fiercely by day. Each hardship teaches, each wound instructs, and though their bodies bear scars, their minds sharpen into tools as vital as stone blades. The hunter feels this transformation deeply, sensing that every trial endured is not just survival but evolution, humanity itself being carved by fire, famine, and One night the tribe gathers around a modest fire, their faces hollow yet their eyes unbroken, and an elder voice trembling but steady, begins to sing. The melody is raw, simple, a string of notes rising into the stars, but it carries weight, weaving grief and hope into sound. The hunter listens, feeling the song vibrate in his chest, stirring memories of hunts, storms, laughter, death, all merging into something larger than words. It is not just song, it is defiance, a declaration that though the world may batter them, their spirit. The hunter gazes at the flames, the song still echoing in his bones, and he realizes that survival is not measured only in food or fire but in memory, in the ability to endure suffering and transform it into meaning. Every scar tells a story, every loss shapes resolve, and though the future remains uncertain, he feels a strange certainty. Humanity will endure, not because they are strongest but because they carry each other, binding sorrow into strength, fire into hope. And in that thought, as stars burn above and flames, the tribe moves again, driven by hunger's endless drumbeat, their feet cutting lines into soil that will vanish with the wind, yet carry the weight of destiny. Ahead lies a river wide and merciless, its surface glittering like glass beneath the sun, but beneath that shimmer lurk jaws, unseen currents, death waiting in silence. Hesitation grips them, yet thirst presses harder, and so the hunter steps first, water rising to his waist, spear clenched tight, heart hammering as shadows swirl beneath. The tribe follows, fear thick in their throats, and together they wade into the crossing becomes chaos. The river surging against their fragile bodies, children clinging to mothers, hunters forming a barrier, striking the water with spears to ward off unseen predators. The hunter feels the pull of the current like a living hand dragging him down, and for a moment he fears being swallowed whole, bones scattered beneath the flow. Yet he pushes forward, teeth gritted, muscles screaming, dragging others with him, each step a battle against surrender. When they finally collapse on the far bank, coughing and trembling, beyond the river, the land shifts into rolling hills scattered with boulders and caves, shadows stretching long as dusk falls. The tribe approaches cautiously, for caves promise both shelter and danger, often claimed by predators before them. The hunter enters first, torch raised, the flickering flame casting jagged shapes across the stone, heart steady but wary, ears straining for growls or hisses. Inside he finds silence, only the drip of water echoing against walls and the scent of stone older than memory. Within the cave's cool walls, something shifts. The tribe feels a fragile peace, their fires glow reflecting off stone, their voices softened by echoes. The hunter studies the walls, tracing patterns of cracks and mineral stains that seem almost like pictures. And in that moment, imagination stirs, whispering of stories carved not just in words or song but in mark and symbol. Though he does not yet act, the seed is planted, and around the fire laughter and murmurs rise. The first stir. Morning comes with renewed purpose, and the tribe climbs higher into hills where air grows thinner, cooler, carrying scents of plants unseen before. The hunter marvels at the change, the landscape no longer endless plains but rugged stone, streams cutting paths through valleys, animals unfamiliar grazing in scattered patches. Each step upward feels like leaving behind one world for another, and though danger lingers always, the shift sparks wonder, a sense that perhaps the earth is not only a battlefield. Hunger returns quickly, and in this new land, the hunt changes. Animals here are nimble, darting among rocks, vanishing into crevices, their speed unmatched. The hunters adapt, learning to corner prey against cliffs, to drive them toward traps dug hastily in earth, to use teamwork not only in pursuit but in strategy. The hunter feels pride at these adaptations, sensing that every obstacle the land throws only sharpens them further. Survival is no longer simply endured, it is conquered in small, yet change brings new challenges. Storms here are colder, winds slicing through thin hides, rain chilling bone, forcing the tribe to huddle tighter around fire. The hunter feels the bite of cold in his lungs, watches children shiver, elders curl into themselves, and realizes that the world is wider and harsher than they imagined. But instead of despair, he feels a strange thrill. If they can endure here, in lands that punish and reshape them, then perhaps they can endure anywhere. It is not comfort that guides them, but resilience. From high ridges, the hunter gazes at horizons unseen before, valleys sprawling below, rivers glittering like silver threads, forests stretching like oceans of green, mountains looming in the distance with crowns of white that glisten beneath the sun. He feels awe swell inside, a recognition that the world is vast beyond imagination, filled with dangers and wonders yet untouched. Behind him, the tribe gathers, their faces reflecting the same mixture of fear and hope, and in that shared silence they sense destiny unfolding. The migration becomes rhythm, the tribe walking with purpose, resting briefly, moving again, always following water, always chasing prey, always learning. Their songs grow more layered, their rituals deeper, their tools sharper, and though hunger and danger remain, their unity strengthens. The hunter notices this transformation, how despair now turns into determination, how every loss is honored, every victory celebrated, and in that rhythm he senses humanity's soul solidifying. They are no longer fragile wanderers scattered. One night, beneath a sky glittering with stars, the hunter sits apart from the tribe, staring into the vastness with wonder and unease. The constellations whisper like riddles, shapes forming beasts, spirits, ancestors watching silently from above. He feels the pull of something larger, as if their journey is not only survival, but a path written in the heavens, destiny traced in light across eternity. Though he cannot name it, he feels certainty stir in his chest, that humanity is not wandering aimlessly, but being guided, step by step. The tribe rests beneath the stars, their fire dwindling into embers, and the hunter feels time folding upon itself, as though every step taken across rivers, plains, and mountains has been part of a single, endless story. He looks at his calloused hands, at scars etched by battles with beasts and storms, and wonders if future generations will remember this struggle, or if their story will vanish into wind. Yet something within whispers that memory endures not in stone or blood alone, but in the very act of survival, in the refusal to surrender. In each morning returns, golden light spilling across stone and grass, and the tribe rises with weariness, but also quiet determination, each member carrying not only hunger, but hope. The hunter leads, his silhouette cutting against the horizon, spear in hand, children following close, elders steadying their steps, all moving like a single body, stitched together by survival. Their journey is far from over. There will be new rivers, harsher storms, deadlier beasts, but they no longer walk as wanderers lost in chaos. They walk as... In the silence of travel, the hunter reflects on what it means to fight endlessly for life. How every death has become a teacher, every hunger a sculptor, every storm a trial. He realizes that survival is not merely the act of resisting death, but the art of shaping meaning out of suffering, of carrying forward songs, rituals, and memories so the future is richer than the past. He knows the tribe will change, faces will fade, children will grow into hunters themselves, yet the story will stretch beyond them, as unbroken and endless as the horizon they now chase. At dusk, they discover a plateau where wind whips sharp and cold, but the view reveals a vast expanse, forests stretching endless, mountains piercing clouds, rivers threading silver veins through valleys. The hunter's chest tightens with awe, for it feels like standing at the edge of infinity, gazing upon a future not yet lived. He senses that this moment will ripple across generations, that one day descendants will look back at these crossings as the first steps toward becoming masters of fire, language, and story. And though the present is still, the tribe builds their fire high upon the plateau, flames battling the wind, sparks scattering into the night like stars set free. They gather close, their faces lit in flickering gold, voices weaving songs into darkness, and for the first time the hunter feels something more than survival stirring. He feels belonging. The fire becomes more than warmth or light, it becomes a symbol, a promise that though the world may break them, they will rise again, and in this fragile ritual of fire, voice, and togetherness, humanity takes. As the fire roars, the hunter watches children play in its glow, their laughter piercing the night like defiance against the vast silence. He imagines them older, carrying the tribe forward, their footsteps leaving trails across lands yet unseen, their voices shaping stories that will outlive stone, and he realizes that survival is not his alone, nor this generation's alone, but a chain unbroken, each link forged by blood, hunger, and hope. Even in despair, the tribe has created continuity, a rhythm flowing from past to future. The wind rises, carrying sparks into the star-soaked sky, and the hunter lifts his eyes, seeing constellations burn above, silent witnesses to their fragile lives. He wonders if the stars, eternal and distant, care for their struggle, or if they shine indifferently upon all, beast, river, hunter alike. Yet in their brilliance he feels kinship, as if their light is a mirror of the fire they tend below, both fragile flames holding back infinite darkness, and in that reflection he senses destiny, that humanity's spark. However, the tribe sleeps, one by one, curled near embers, breath steady beneath the vast silence of night, but the hunter remains awake, staring at shadows, feeling the gravity of all they have endured, the hunts, the grief, the crossings, the songs, the storms. He feels sorrow and pride intertwine, heavy yet liberating, for their journey is both suffering and triumph, both endless struggle and quiet beauty. And though the world beyond remains filled with merciless trials, he understands something profound. It is as dawn breaks, painting the horizon in fire and gold, the hunter rises, lifting his spear toward the light, his silhouette standing like a monument carved against sky. Behind him the tribe stirs, readying themselves for another march into unknown lands, another page of struggle and discovery. He feels no certainty of what awaits, yet he walks forward without hesitation, for he knows survival is not found in comfort but in movement, in daring to step where fear says stop. And so humanity continues its eternal migration, not towards. And now, as we look back from the future they could not imagine, from our world of cities, stories, and stars, we realize that their struggle was never in vain. Every scar they bore, every tear shed, every fire lit against the dark was a gift passed forward, shaping us into who we are today. Their footsteps carved the path beneath our feet, their courage lives in our breath, and their dreams burn in our eyes. So the question remains, not whether they survived, for they did through us, but whether we, in all